Hi, my name is Mike Arce, CEO of Loud Rumor, an organization that helps fitness studios all over the world grow and be more successful. I'm also the host of Top Fitness Business Podcast, the GSD Show, and your host on this podcast as well. The goal of this podcast is to help you stay informed on some good ideas that your fitness studio can implement to succeed during this pandemic. And in this episode, I wanted to share something awesome with you. I've got an incredible coach. His name is Cameron Harold. He's been coaching me for a little over a year now. And he shared with me this speech, recording of a speech that Simon Sinek made for his employees. And it was about 5 minutes, maybe 5.5 minutes long. I'm going to share it with you in a second. But for those of you that don't know who Simon Sinek is, he is an internationally well-known speaker. He is the author of two very popular business books. One is Starts With Why, and the other is Leaders Eat Last. Both books are incredible for culture development and for leadership. So if you're in a leadership position and you want to be a better leader, I definitely recommend you read these books. If you're wanting to improve culture in your business, I definitely recommend these two books. Okay, cutting to the chase. He shared this perspective with me, this speech that Simon did for his team to really help them understand there's two different ways to look at this pandemic and what's going on. And I thought it was spot on. It was fascinating the way he was able to break it down. And like true leaders, he was able to do it in less than 5 or 6 minutes. So I'm going to share that with you guys. So without further ado, Simon Sinek and his team.
I just did a podcast interview with some folks in Australia, and they were pushing me very hard to try and explain how the infinite mindset helps in times like these. And I had a thought on that call that I wanted to share with everybody, which is these are not unprecedented times. There are many cases, lists of cases, where change or something unexpected has put many companies out of business and made other companies come out stronger and reinvent themselves. The invention of the internet put many, many companies out of business. The ones who could not reinvent their companies for the internet age, but rather double down on the old way they did business. Every video store is out of business because of streaming, and they couldn't reinvent themselves. When Starbucks moved into neighborhoods, many, many companies went out of business. Many coffee shops went out of business, not because of Starbucks, but because they refused to change the way they did business. They still had an old ripped up couch when you had a better product. Uber is putting taxi companies out of business, not because of Uber, it's because the taxis refuse to change. This is not unprecedented. The fact that something new and this more sudden, absolutely. More shocking, absolutely. Without a doubt. But this is not unprecedented in the business world. And so for us to say, not how do we do what we're doing, but rather, how will we do what we're doing in a different world? And the world is different. And the thing that I said on this interview was, it's the companies that have been investing in will and having an infinite mindset for a long time that will come out of this stronger because they're prepared. Many of them were saving money as opposed to giving out huge fat bonuses to everybody and spending all the money. And the will of the people is high to figure out a way through it. The ones that are struggling the most are the ones that spent all their money, saved nothing, appeased Wall Street, and the will of the people is low, that people are in survival mode rather than reinvention mode. It's the companies that with an infinite mindset that are in reinvention mode. It's the companies with a finite mindset that are in survival mode, regardless of how much money they have. It's the mindset. How are we going to get through this versus how are we going to change to get through this? So I feel so optimistic because we're thinking about the future. We're in a dark tunnel, but there's a light over there. I don't know how far away that light is, but I can see it. But we're in darkness now, but when we come out of there, we will have a better train. A different train. We will be a completely different business. Some of us will have different jobs by the time we get out of this. And that's our opportunity. The opportunity is, what will we be? Not how do we to preserve what we had. That's an infinite mindset. And I'm so proud of this team because my attitude is this, not theoretically, but because I'm watching a team go through it right now. I'm watching people reinvent themselves. I'm watching people think about their jobs differently. I'm watching people think, how can I contribute in a new way? I'm watching people say, what could we be? How will we bring our message to people in a different way, in new ways? That will last forever, by the way, not just for now. So proud of you guys. Love you guys. Because we are a living example of the stuff that I'm talking about out loud. I get to say, we are doing this. We're not allowing Uber to put us out of business. We're not allowing Starbucks to put us out of business. We're not allowing the internet to put us out of business. We'll reinvent ourselves. This is not unprecedented. This has happened many, many, many times in business. This one's just a little more sudden.
And by different jobs, you don't mean different jobs out of this company, but reinvent yourself within this company.
That is the opportunity. So I know a company, it's a fine dining restaurant in New York City. He's figured out a way to become a delivery company. All of his people have kept their jobs because they have different jobs now. But if you think you're going to do the same job and you're waiting, like if you're a public speaker who was waiting for this to get through so you can go stand on a stage, I got some bad news. That ship has sailed. We have to be a normal company now where we have to market ourselves and develop product. This is a huge wake-up call for us. We had the luxury of being lazy. And I don't mean that in a bad way. There was no reason to reinvent when we're drinking from a fire hose. But now the opportunity is magical. I'm thinking, how do I put myself out there without a stage? This is entirely new for me as well. This is entirely new for me. But I'm not worried about what I do. I'm worried about why I do it. And I will find a job that helps me do that. I'll make a job that helps me do that. And I expect the same of everyone. And here's the best thing, you don't have to do it alone. We've got each other's backs, we'll help each other. Some of it'll be easy, some of it'll be unbelievably difficult. This is a very, very magical team. We're streamlined. Good? All right, I gotta go to the doctor.
Thank you, Simon.
All right, I love you guys.
Wash your hands.
I'm more worried about the doctor. Bye.
So what a great speech. And I hope you made some notes. If not, go back and make some, but I've made some for you. And these are some of the ones that I've taken from that speech. And I'm excited to bring to my team. One of them, and this is in no order, but some of us may have different jobs. He said, some of us may have different jobs by the time we come out of here, right? A different train is what he called it. And one of the employees wanted clarification. He said, by different jobs, you don't mean elsewhere, you mean within the company. If you listen to how Simon responded to that, he didn't say yes. He said, that is the opportunity. That's what he said. He said, that is the opportunity because technically there are going to be different jobs and maybe some of the people on the team will have them, but it's not guaranteed because at the end of the day, there are people that just are terrible with change. They do not adapt. And when you think about things that do not adapt, what happens? They go extinct. The things that survive are the things that are able to adapt and evolve with the time. Because if you can't, time's going to go on. You can't change that. The world's going to evolve. And you either evolve with it or ahead of it, or you go extinct. And that might mean the job of some people. And if those particular people can't pivot and can't find a way to deliver value in the same goal of what we do for our members in a new position that may be needed for the new world that's happening, well, then they may go extinct because they're either reluctant to change or they haven't practiced it well enough or they don't even want to make the effort, right? So some of us may have different jobs. It's important to know that goes for you as the owner as well. I already feel like that over the last 2 weeks. My job has already started to evolve. We are not allowing anything to put us out of business. I love that as well. You know, he talks about companies like Starbucks and taxis and Blockbuster. Obviously, you got Toys R Us and a bunch of other companies that just couldn't make it, right? They went out of business. And that's because they allowed the world to evolve without them evolving with it. They wanted things to just go back to the way they were, and they couldn't figure out how to move forward fast enough with the rest of the planet. and therefore they are extinct. So we are not letting anything put us out of business. He also, we have to be a normal company, continue reinventing ourselves and improve our product. You take companies like Apple. Apple started out as just a computer company, and man, look how they've evolved, right? Not only had they evolved and moved with the world, but they pushed the world forward with, with the way that they've designed. It started with the iPod and then the iPhone and then the tablets. And not to say that those products didn't exist prior, but they're the ones that pushed it into the most consumers' hands and made it a part of our culture, right? You take companies like Sony. Sony, I think, started out, if you guys Google, I think Sony started out as like a rice cooker. I think that's what they started out, or something similar to that. And now look at what Sony's done over the years, right? They got headphones now, not cooking rice. Nike, I mean, you can not only buy your sneakers online, but on top of that, you can buy your sneakers online and do what's called Nike ID, where you can put your logo or you can put certain phrases or text on your sneakers, and you can design your sneakers the way that you want, because that's what people want today. They want to have freedom. They want to have control. They want to have speed. And you could do that now with Nike. On top of that, there's a whole second world of Nike where people are trading sneakers secondhand, meaning not directly from the store. It's like, and from what I heard, the underground selling of Nike sneakers is actually larger than the second best brand front selling, right? So Nike leads both in their top sales and then in their underground sales. Facebook, you can see the evolution, the constantly changing, and some people get frustrated by, right? So if you're one of the people that every time Facebook or Instagram makes a change and you find yourself going, oh, why did they do this? I just wanted to go back to the old way. That might be a good indicator that you personally have a problem with change. And if that's the case, you may want to fix that, because if that's who you are, you're probably going to go extinct in your jobs, or you're probably going to find a hard time finding a job as time goes on in your life. So embrace the change, find the beauty in the change, because it was most likely made for a reason. Another thing is, I'm not worried about what I do, but why I do it. Now, of course, that's perfectly, stated by the guy that wrote the book Starts With Why, right? Because that's the entire philosophy, is why we do what we do is what leads the way of everything that we do. And so why do you guys do what you do? Don't care about what you do. What you do is people come into a class, we start high-fiving, we lead a 45-minute session, afterwards we do a little stretch, and then we move on to the next class. That's what you do, but that's not why you do it. Why you do it is because it makes you feel good to watch people make real life changes where they get in better shape, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is, with their relationships, with their partners, at work, with their kids. That's why you do what you do. That's what makes you happy. People never go, man, I really love that you have a back-to-back class and it's 45 minutes. And that doesn't light up your day. What lights up your day is when that person comes to you and says, man, I want to let you know, for the first time in a couple of years, my husband looked at me and said, babe, you are looking friggin' hot, right? Or I was able to go hiking with my kids and we made it all the way to the top. I've never been able to do that. My knee always gives out and I went all the way to the top. These are the things that make you excited. These are the things that bring tears to your eyes. So that's why you do what you do. And you don't need what you did in order to accomplish that. You need to just find a way to continue getting that in whatever world we find ourselves in. And so for me, I'm learning, I'm having to do that right now, and I'm loving it. I'm embracing this. He also, why do we exist? How will we do what we are doing in a different world? A lot of you guys right now in fitness studios, you've already started to do it and you've noticed it works. People just want to get in shape and they want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of a community that pushes them, that understands where they're at, because they're not alone in this situation. Their friends, their family that are closest to them outside of your studio, they may not have that motivation. They may not care about working out. They may eat junk and poo-poo on the idea of eating healthy, right? That may be their circle. And you give them a new circle that is just like them, that wants to be better, that wants to look better, that wants to feel better, that wants to be a better version of themselves every month as they age. And you're giving them that community. You don't need a studio to do that necessarily. Now, I'm not saying expect to close your doors and never reopen, but I'm saying embrace the times and where they're going, because this may be a very real arm of your business going forward. And in 5-10 years from now, this may be the arm. I have no idea. But all I know is you've got to embrace change and start getting good at it. And you get good at it by practicing, like you get good at anything else. He said the importance of saving money. Man, I'll tell you right now, if this is your first recession since being a business owner, you're going to learn the same lesson I learned in 2008 to 2012. And that is the lesson of I will never, ever go broke again. And so I've got lines of credit. I've got money in savings. I've got stuff set up in 6 different businesses, right? I've got real estate. Now, just so you know, that doesn't mean my life is gravy and I could sit back and just whatever happens, happens. Absolutely not. Because you get good at whatever you practice, and I will not practice that. I'm still putting my company in the position to grow and be more successful. And that might mean making tough decisions, because just because I have money in savings doesn't mean I'm going to use it, because I may need that. And so you want to make sure that you use that money when you need that money, not use that money when it's easier to use that money versus find a way to make more. That was a lot of stuff that I just said right there. Hopefully you captured it, because I don't know if I can repeat it the same way that I just did. If not, just go ahead and rewind it. So yes, definitely focus on saving money. Once you get out of this thing, focus on saving money. Put yourself in a position to where you can go 6 months to a year without having to worry about things and cover your expenses. And last thing, what he said was that I really enjoyed, I took note on, was Simon also said this isn't theoretically. It isn't based on theory, because he's watching companies do this right now. And he's not just talking about companies like yours, because he's for sure seeing it. I'm seeing it. Studios all over the world are making this adjustment. But he also is talking about like the restaurant that he saw, right? That made the adjustment. And there's many others that are finding ways to go virtual and pivot and embrace the change that's necessary to still do why they do what they do, whether it's therapists or teachers or coaches, music instructors, cooking classes. Honestly, guys, hanging out with friends. I've hung out with 2 or 3 groups of friends over the last week over Zoom that honestly, normally I wouldn't have hung out with in person. I may have texted them, but we actually hung out for like 2 hours and we joked around and we had a good time. We actually found ourselves communicating more since being in this position. I'm finding myself hiking, hanging out with my kids more. There's opportunity wherever there's crisis. I thought this interview was fantastic, or not interview, this speech was fantastic. And I can't believe how many notes I took out of a 5-minute session. And I really hope you guys took some good notes out of it too. Please go back and listen to his speech again whenever you get some time, because I thought it was fantastic. And enjoy the rest of your day.